Hey guys, welcome to Business Coder. Today I've been dealing with the desktop application settings and configurations that user can keep, and I decided just to make a simple video, and this will be a short one where I'll just go through my development process, how I did the actual configuration storage, saving some user configurations for your desktop application when you have some kind of like Electron based application or even some Node.js, but it is done over UI web frameworks. So it is pretty simple. If you can imagine, the framework itself, the Electron backend is Node.js, so it is definitely you have a lot of options in terms of the database or even embedded solutions that you can use with your JavaScript code and make just the simple configurations just to get started. But it is way more simple than you can imagine. You don't need actually some kind of a database for that or any external library. It turns out that Electron, which built on top of the Chromium itself, contains the actual Chromium APIs, and it is extended to keep a local storage primarily on the desktop environment based on the user. So you don't need actually any extra library. So let's just jump in and see how it goes. First of all, we have a couple of options if we are going to build some kind of embedded database. It's not only relates to simple configuration, but also if you need really a database kind of stuff where you are keeping a lot of records, you're probably going to use these type of libraries like SQLite, which is like capable of keeping a lot of data. I even have built blogs with SQLite without any issues. It could keep up to 4 or 5 gigs of single database storage, which is actually a huge amount of data for a simple desktop application. And if you want to like more simpler way to do that, this is purely JavaScript implementation of JSON based database called NeDB, if I'm pronouncing that well. So it is purely a JSON based, so it's native to JavaScript, and you can just use that in any kind of Node.js application, including the Electron itself. And another option is some kind of native to Electron, but I also don't want to use this type of solution. They are good if you have a lot of like objects to save, and you have really that feeling of having a permanent file that you should keep when user uninstalls your application. This is probably makes sense, but when you just dealing with the basic user configuration with the forms that user should reuse when it opens up an application, you don't really need this type of databases. This is just the purely file-based storages, but with our approach, it is just a simple web local storage, which Electron actually extended to keep it for each user and each application separately, and it will be existing until the app is actually will be removed from the system, which is for our case is totally fine, because we are building an application for Pomodoro principle, where we are going to block certain websites that the user will provide. So let's just jump on a code and see how we actually implemented that stuff. And so I just made this kind of small helper file, which just includes some of the functionality of storage abstraction. So here you can see that I'm just keeping a list of websites that are going to be blocked, and I'm using just a plain local storage, nothing else. And I'm just setting it using a string concatenation or join. So this is basically an array of strings. And I have another type of configuration which is a timer settings, where we have these all properties that has to be existing in order to give a user predefined configurations and allow him to save his own configurations. So this is JSON stringify, where I am keeping this inside the local storage with the like basic string, and then parsing that JSON as a JavaScript object later on. So this is pure helper functions just to get some abstraction around the React implementation of the UI. So if we'll just start up this with our web project inside the browser, we'll get similar thing inside the Electron app. There is not that much of a difference. So here you can see this is our like main window for Electron application. We have websites list that we are going to block. We can just delete that. We can add another website, and after hitting an enter, this is actually going to be saved in local storage. And when I'm making a reload, example.com and test.com, they all existing here because it's coming over a local storage. Same thing with this configuration. When I'm changing something, for example, I'm changing this to 10, making a reload, again 10 persisted because it's saved into browser's local storage. So the most interesting part is actually coming when we are building our Electron application, killing and then starting it again. Let me just show you. So when we have this Electron application, yarn build web, so we made these short scripts. If you haven't checked our previous video, just go to the channel and see what type of application setup we have done before looking on the code base right now. So we are typing yarn start desktop. It will compile TypeScript file of the Electron app, and will just spin up a new app instance here. So here is our default configuration that we have. It is purely local storage based. It is Electron plain window with the same UI. It is basically just embed. So when I am adding a website, for example, facebook.com, we want to block, and we want to block also twitter.com. So these all websites that are listed here stored inside our local storage, and the configuration that we are giving here, for example, it is 16. It is again inside the local storage. When I'm doing reload, it persisted because it's again coming from Electron local storage. And the most important thing is that when I'm killing this application, it's no longer available as a process. This is the same simulation when user actually exits or restarts machine, and I'm making a start again with the same Electron application. The actual local storage items will persist because by definition Electron application is actually keeping this inside the same folder as your compiled files, which means later on it will be inside the Mac application folder. It keeps the local storage file and index.db file, which is plain HTML5 capabilities that you have on our web environment. So that's it for this episode, and as you can see, I'm pretty close to finalizing our time blocker application, and in later videos we are going to look how to publish Electron based application to App Store. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.